Okay, we are streaming. Video? No video. Fantastic. All right, let's get into all of our stuff. Okay, studio. Let's see here. Where is my channel? And then live. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, let's go into Canvas, make sure everybody knows. We have a live stream now. Let's see. Can I go back to my live stream? Fantastic, right here. Get shareable link. Okay. All right, that link should work. All right, I don't think anybody's on the stream yet. We will check and see. Let me mute my own stream to make sure that it's working. All right. All right. Hey. All right, so hopefully the audio is okay. It seems a little echoey in here. I'm in my kitchen because that's somewhere I can keep my dog somewhat occupied. So what I'll do, folks, take a little bit of time getting in here, and then I'm going to work on some assignments. But I want to talk about some other things too here. Get my module 2 fixed. Oops. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Okay, let's look at what we got here. So we already did this assignment, I believe. I'm going to double check that. Yep, that's the Apple sales. Fantastic. Like I said, for everybody who's watching, or if you watch this later, I am working on, here we go, we'll make the video today. We are working on Module 2, and for people who want to work ahead, I'm going to have Module 2. Let's see. Still have how am I doing? So channel open. Make some other ones here. So. All right, hey. So the audio. I'm trying to use my phone. I'm not going to stay active, so hopefully it's good. I am probably about 15-20 seconds behind. So that's about right. Okay, cool, good. All right. I see people here. Good. It's kind of hot. So I'm going to see if I can switch this over to the Mac OS cap. Let's see if it'll work. All right. Okay, how about now? Let's see. How are we doing? We're going to see if audio... Okay, thanks. We'll use the laptop mic. Picks up typing. All right. But hopefully that'll work better. Yeah, I need to have one of my actual mics in here. I don't. I may try my headset in a second. Let me go grab that, actually. I'm going to leave up the assignment. There we go. Get the right name. There we go. Get the right name. Okay, I'm going to fire up my code space. Anybody following along, if you want to fire up your code space. And we're going to do M2T2. And then hopefully what I'll do is clip this out and use it Okay, hopefully we're a little bit better. Fantastic. Good. Okay, while I fire up let me turn off my bot. It's turned off. That's good. I'll be right back. Hey, Esther, everything's fine. You're good. You want a little snack? All right. Here you go. Get you a little snack. I know you got your feelings hurt because I'm talking to other people, but I gotta do work. What can I say? Okay, she's gonna go enjoy her snack in the other room. Hopefully this is picking up, like I said. How about now? We got any better audio? Okay. Hopefully we're good. Yeah, I've got about 5 mics and I didn't get any of them set up correctly. So, hey, what do you know? All right, so I'm going to go into module 2. So let me get a Sublime open and a new file. Okay, so 10 a.m. C++. Receipt with sales tax. No problem. Right. Let's see, cool. So we need well-named variables. Great, input processing output. So I just got I'm gonna have some notes here to keep track of what I'm doing. Let's close out Chrome because I don't need that. And I'm gonna make a new file. It'll be m2t2 last name .c. I'm gonna do C++ this time. Okay, there we go. All right, you want to use that extension, that's fine. We'll let that load. And while I'm doing that, I'll talk about what my program's going to be. Make it a little bigger. Hopefully this is readable. My screen is an odd size, so I recognize when I look at my stream, it looks a little funky, right? That's not too bad. Hopefully this is readable. Okay, good. I'll stop just switching back to my my YouTube stream, confusing people. All right, push this closed here. I'm in M2. I think it's better to have folders. Again, remember you can do new folder to make a folder. Then what you kind of have to figure out is where it is underneath that. Okay. Module 2, tutorial 2, receipt calculator. Okay, that's me and it's today's. So you'll put your information, 2626. Goal, a correct receipt that handles sales tax. All right, I could go look it up, but I'm gonna make an assumption. Tax is 8%, right? So depending on the county you're in, that's going to change if you're buying food or not food. And I'm not going to get into taxation policy right now. We'll just work on our program. But I guess the idea is we're selling, I don't know, like a burger platter or tacos, whatever you want to call it. Using namespace. Had a couple people who don't like to use namespace standard, and so the only difference is instead of typing C out, put a little note here. C out, right? Cool. That's all it means. It just means if you don't use that line, C out is longer to type, so is C in. It's kind of not really worth worrying about for you guys. But a couple people who didn't want to use it, I'm fine with that. Okay, I'm going to say int main, make my program start, turn 0, no errors, and I'm going to give that a run to make sure it works. Hello, I'm aware you're there, Esther. I know it's tough, isn't it? You want to watch the stream? You probably don't want to watch the stream. She's not really into C++. Yeah, you're going to have to sit and relax. It's tough. Yep, so she's gotten a lot of attention while I was trapped at home. So now she's like, wait, what are you doing? You're talking to other people. Anyway, sorry, I won't ramble about the dog much. I do just have to kind of keep her knowing that I love her and everything's fine. Okay, program works. That's great. I'm going to go back over to source control. Now, one of the things I want to kind of mention to people, you know, for online, in case they watch this too, when you go in and do a commit, if it asks you questions, you're going to say yes to them. I've hit like yes always to make them go away. I'm going to say started M2T2 and commit that. And then sync. And what I'll do just to kind of show what's going on here, I'm going to go right to my, where's the correct one? It should be course C134, 20. There we go, good, great. I tried to consolidate my naming so it looks a little better. And I can see here I started M2T2, so I can go into this folder and see, in fact, I do have a program. There's really nothing in it yet, but I have that. Again, for anybody who forgets, remember, whenever you want to submit a program, you give me this link, which gives you your source code. Okay, we're better? Okay. Yeah, I can zoom in some, thank you. You guys doing all right here? Chaos in chat. No, that's cool. Be happy to. Okay, audio is okay, except for my clickety-clackety. And I will zoom my page in significantly. Make this a little bit bigger. That's probably, let's see, how's that looking? Hopefully that's a little bit better. Let's go a little bigger. Cool. I'll have to scroll a bit, but it's not a problem. All right, I'm going to hide this. We have a little more room to see, and I'll put this down here. Okay. So I want to declare all variables. User input, do the calculation, present the output. Okay, that's what I call pseudocode. I kind of put that in the assignment. I put comments for what I want to do, and then I do it. In the old days, like in the 80s and 90s, they would have you write things like int age equals 30, and the comment says set the age to 30. Now I can read C++, so you don't need to do that. When you would need to be clear on something is if it's not really clear what the variables are for. So I'm going to say here, we're going to be selling some food. So let's say string meal name equals, let's go for the burger platter. I will do that. You can change this to, cool, anything you want to do there. So I'm going to say double, cool, items. Let me see what I'll do. No, I'm going to say meal price 99. Okay, so that'll be, I'll put a little note here. I like to line things up here. It's not really important, but and again, remember, if you get behind me, you can leave out some of these comments. 599, and I'll say double tax rate equals 0.08. And again, what is that? That is 8% is 8 divided by 100, percent, right? Per 100. So that's the tax rate. I want to say double. Let's do this. Let's have a tip amount too. Well, okay. And double tax amount. Put a note there of the actual tax charged, right? So if it's $1, your tax is 8 cents. If it's $2, your tax is 16 cents, and so forth. The reason I want to mention this is we used to jump into this program with both feet, or maybe head first, and we would just write a variable called tax. And it's like, which tax? Oh, there's multiple taxes, right? And in fact, I think what I might want to do here is a few more of these. Now, this sometimes you can get a little bit carried away, right? So I'm going to say total price, say meal plus tip plus tax. Now, one thing to think about is the tip is not taxed, at least on your end, right? So whether or not it's taxed from the server is kind of different. And of course, if you're using DoorDash, then you got to have like a flat fee that you charge, things like that. Let's just keep it simple. So today's role play, we're making the receipt printer for a restaurant. Cool. Okay, so I got some comments here. Got this stuff set up. I'm going to just check that in again. I'm going to say set variables, commit and sync. Now you don't have to commit all the time, but I like to do that. Because again, if you make a mistake, you can always back it out. All right. Get the user input, and I'll say, all right, so I'm going to make some assumptions that they're only buying one. Actually, that's not a great idea. No, let's see. Let's think about this. Yep, let's do that. We're going to need to actually have how many they get. And then I'm going to put that here. I'll say int num meals. How many they buy? Okay, great, good. So let's do that. So cout. CC before roll. So we have one thing for sale. Meal name. Cout. Indel. Total indel. Another space here. Cout. Okay. No cin because no indel because I want this to show up like that. And I'll say here cin num meals. Okay. So I'm going to test that. So it should say, let me show you this here. Okay. Again, one thing you can do, let me put a little link here. Okay. You can copy paste this if you get stuck. If I type too fast. Very cool. That link will probably work. I don't know if you click that link, will it be like maybe YouTube won't allow that? So anyway, it's in my repo. I'm not sure. We'll find out if that link works. Let's run the program. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to probably go like 45 minutes or an hour with you guys. Not too long, just enough to kind of get an official assignment posted. But the other thing is, if anybody's got questions, if you get stuck on something, just tell me in chat. I will check every so often. And I appreciate you guys hanging out. Not really a lot to do outside. I took the dog for a walk, and that involved just going about a block and coming back. I'm going to have one of those. Program's done. And again, if you change your meal name, then you're going to get some different appearance here. But I like this to test to make sure it's working. Okay, do the calculation. So I'm going to have to say, ooh, I feel like I need some more stuff here. Let's think about this. I'm going to say meal price, double subtotal, price before tax tips, right? So we're doing some math like that. Again, I know I'm jumping around. I will say put your variables up top, and the fact that I jump around does not negate that. If anything, it's more important, because if I start typing my variables wherever I think of them, they're going to be all over the place. So what I kind of try to say here, you know, I got the meal, how many you want, how much each of them are. If I get 2, then it's going to put that in subtotal. Cool. And then, you know, if it's 1, then subtotal is the same as meal price. That would be fine, but I wanted to have it a little clearer here, you know, and then you got to add in. So the total price is, I'd say subtotal. Change that. Subtotal plus tip and plus tax. Nice calculation. So I'll say subtotal equals meal price times num meals. That should check out, right? Here, let's do a little test here real quick. Cout. Put like 10 of those is probably nice. Okay, I'll say cout. Num meals. Getting a little funky here, right? Because already I want it to look nice, so I got to think about what I want to say here. Meal price. Need a little dollar sign there. Okay, how did I do here? Let's look at that from the top again. I don't want to lose you guys, especially because, like I said, I know if there is chat. Okay, we're good. Great. Like I said, I'll try to chop this out as a separate video, so it'll be useful that way too. Okay, I got my setup. I have all of my variables, burr platter, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to come out to the input where I ask them how many they want. You know, for a larger program, you would say things like, you know, I'm going to have a number 3 and a number 4 with extra chili or something, you know, and we could have if statements and loops to add things up. And we're going to get to that. You know, great example. Do you want to supersize that? Do you want fries with that? What do? You add to the subtotal, you add another item, and then you do the math. For now, we'll just say they're going to pick how many, you know, platters they want, and they are done. $5.99, pretty good price these days, right? So let's run this and see how it looks. When it comes to like user friendliness for a program, like, you know, if it's a mobile app, people know when the mobile app like it's not responsive when you swipe or click, or it's like slow. For something like this that's very 70s coded, is plain old text UI, what you want to think about is, are you telling the user what they need to know in order to answer the question, right? Okay, looks like my stream is working okay. I think we're good. Fantastic. Just checking. I don't want to get disconnected or anything. All right, so I'm going to say I want one of those, and it gives me 559 subtotal. I think it would look better to say like this. How about this? Num meals times meal name. And then let's put in like a tab. I haven't explained that before, have I? Well, we'll show you what it looks like. \T is a tab. You can also put \n if you get tired of typing endl. So if you're one of the people who types end1, you can just put \n in quotes, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Let's run that again, see how this looks. So the tab should hopefully space it out a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm not going for perfect. I just want it to look kind of nice. Let's put in another tab there to make that look nice. Okay. Again, there's a lot of tricks we could use to make it pretty. I am just doing quick and dirty right now. And if you don't do this, if you don't do the tabs and you just have the numbers, it's okay. But my thought was, like, I want to have a receipt. Like, I actually want it to look nice. I'll do one more time and see how that looks. Did I make it any longer? Take one burger. I did not. Let me copy that. That's more like it. Like, I'm just trying to pretend I'm printing a receipt. It's nothing fancy, but looks good to me. One more and it lines up real nice. Put another indel in here maybe. Okay, again, if your receipt doesn't look exactly like mine, I'm not taking points off for this. This is just showing you things you can do for formatting. A lot of languages do things like, you know, this field on your phone or on the web has this many characters, you know, it fills up a certain amount of space. That's kind of what we're doing. So one burger platter, $5.99. Let's try it again with 2 just to make sure that math works. Again, I don't recommend ever you just type in the whole program and see if it works. That is a mistake I used to make when I was like in my early 20s. It is so much harder than trying to fix errors as you go. You know, if you have 5 lines of code and it should run with no errors, run it, make sure there's no errors, even if it doesn't do anything yet. Looks a little bit better. It's not lined up perfectly. I'm going to live with that. I'm going to commit that and say basic output. Cool, so I kind of got my basic output there. Okay, hopefully this is making sense to folks. Let's go back to the code and look at it again. When I go to my repo, I should see my current code. And I can do things like this. My favorite button in the world is the blame button, which will tell me who made the change. Yep, that was me. And it shows me all the changes I made as I went, which is kind of neat. So some of these things, like, hey, this is from the beginning, this was added later. You know, maybe not super important, but it can kind of be interesting to see how that works. All right, so there's my program so far. I feel like we've checked it out. Okay, I added in tip, which is extra, but we'll do that. That'll be kind of interesting. Okay. Cool. And I will say cout a tip. How much of a tip? Oh, let's say here, tip amount. There we go. All right, let me mute you guys for a second so I can take this call. All right, I got to blank my screen for a second so I can check something, guys. So I'll be back in about a minute or two. Sorry, I got some admin things to do. Okay, we're back. Did I close all my advising windows? Good. Yeah. All right. Cool. Save during rebase. Yes. So if you all right. Problem. What if you don't put a comment? Okay. Good. So this will catch me up with you guys. So I think I'm like 10 minutes behind. So problem. What if you don't put a comment? So let me do a commit here and show you what happens. So I'm just going to put like a blank line here, and I'm going to do a commit. And I did not put a message. Okay. So watch this very carefully. So it opens this window up, and if you don't, and you have to type something. Oops, I forgot to leave a comment. And then you close this window. Or maybe it works with this button. Will that work? Maybe I'm lucky. I didn't even see this little button. I know if you close it, it works. Let's try that. And now you can push it. Because you can't commit without a message. So if you don't leave a message, it basically locks you up until you do that. Does that kind of make sense? It's way better than it used to be. It used to drop you into VI, and then you have to go to a different machine and Google how to exit VI because there's no menu. It's like you have to remember to type like, I think it's like :Q exclamation point or something when you're done. So in comparison, this is not so bad. So let's see. Hopefully that helped. So try that. Like if it pops up that edit commit message, then you got to just put something there, and just put oops. That's a great thing to do, and then close it or whatever. Okay, cool. I'm getting a little synced up with you guys. All right, we got some great chat here. This is very helpful stuff. You guys are good. Hey, I'm not on Twitch or Kick, so I think we're safe. No. So yeah, I'll check chat in a minute to see if that helped any. But like I said, if you get stuck on it, I'm going to close that window here. If you get stuck with this commit message window, I'll just do it one more time to show you what happens, right? So I'm going to hit blah, 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 hit commit, and it does this. And you got to put a message on the first line. And I'll just say, press enter, whoops, and then hit commit, and then I'm good. Okay. So I'm going to check that to make sure that's actually what it did. Close my email there. I want to look at my blame. Is it doing it? Yeah, press enter, my last change. So the issue is there's a bunch of commits where I didn't do much. Oops, yeah, see? So it kind of figured out like what was going on. Let me go back to code. Okay. Okay, different issue. Yeah, if it's rebase, I may have to help you with that. If you're stuck in a rebase situation, the nuclear option is to download all the files from the code space that like didn't get saved. Like just download them to your local machine. Close the code space, go back to code space and delete that one and make a new one, and then drag the file in. That sounds like a hassle, I know. I'm going to try to make it easier when there's like rebase issues. Again, you know, this is the tool the big boys and girls use. That's why we're using it. So there are things that are going to go wrong. If you ever get totally stuck, you can just, you know, like I said, download the file and then like drag it into your GitHub and you give me a link to that and we will get it fixed. Okay, I'm going to get back into this and see where we were. I'm going to go about maybe 10 more minutes because I don't want to bore you guys too much. You're doing pretty good. And again, you know, maybe I can clip this or do it as a short video without me rambling. Good luck, right? But let's get it done pretty quick. So I'm going to say I got my burger, how many I want. I got the price. I'm going to ask for the tip. And then I'll say CN, tip, amount. See, one reason I like variable names that make sense is like when you start typing them, it'll give you the autocomplete. Cool. Okay. And then I'm going to say here, figure out the tax. So I would say tax amount equals subtotal times tax rate, right? And let me make a note here. This much is added to the bill, okay? And then add tax and tips, and I'll say total price equals subtotal plus tip amount plus tax amount. That kind of makes sense, right? Like, that's kind of how the receipt's going to read. Okay, a little bit of there. So I said the tax amount is the subtotal. So if you buy one, it's $5.99. So you multiply that by 8%. It comes out to, I don't know, whatever. We'll run the math and see. And then let's put a little bit more here. Okay, subtotals here. See out. Tip. Put some tabs. Again, it may not look great, but we'll try it. All right. And I'm going to give that a run, see how it looks. Again, here's the change I made. I just added in tax, total price. I mean, that should make sense, right? It's $5.99 plus 0 for tip in this case. I'm getting it to go. And then the tax, and that's going to be my total price. So let's run this, see if those numbers make sense. And, oh, show errors. So I'm going to say remember and show errors. Tell me what I did wrong, computer. Expected semicolon. Look at that. So sure enough, I'll do it too. If you forget the semicolon, usually it's pretty good about figuring that out. Let me try to run it again. When you're missing a semicolon, it's like a run-on sentence. Like it'll have a bunch of errors usually. And then when you fix that semicolon, they all go away maybe. Never know. Okay, let's see. My tax tip is 0. So it's looking a little gross. I could do put another tab in there to make it look pretty. And of course, I'm going to want to do 2 decimal places, but that's like not really a big deal. You think about, there's the idea of an MVP, not most valuable player. Most valuable player is the best. In computer programming, MVP is minimum viable product. So what's the least I could skate by on? Now, why would you want to do the least amount of work? Because you want to do the least amount of work, make sure it works before you add anything else. So I'm just kind of like making it look nice as I go. And then I'm going to have to like fix this in a minute, but we'll worry about that. Okay, and then I want to print cout, and let's do, I want to do that again. Really what I should have done is made that a variable, but that's all right. So I'll do cout, paste that in there. How's that look if I have a nice receipt on the bottom? We're getting there? Yeah, let me talk about that. So for the spaces, so as long as there is a space, you can have more spaces. So the only reason I put more spaces was so it looks pretty. So yes, you do not have to do that. That is just me trying to make it a little easier to read. You'll notice as long as there's at least one space, it'll treat that as a space. Okay, that is a good point. Thanks for catching that. Because sometimes I'll do stuff and I forget that I never mentioned it. Okay, your order is $5.99, add the tax, and then at the bottom it needs to have the total, so let me get that. Actually, I'm going to check it in again, because if it works, added tax and tips, commit. Again, you can put whatever you want here, but if you just made a change, putting the thing you changed here is a really easy way to not have to think about what to type up. The funniest thing is, if you have Copilot turned on, it'll, like when you hit the sparkles here, it'll chug for like 15 seconds and then say something like added sales tax. So like you already know what you did. There's a lot of times you'll be faster than the bot. All right, let me go back to my code. And I'm going to go from the top again, just make sure I haven't missed anything. Yep, got good comments up top. I got my setup. All my variables for my fake burger restaurant that only exists in the computer. And then my input, we ask how many they want, and then a tip if they want to leave a tip. And then I need to print the final. I'll say cout total. And I think I can do, I'm just going to see. Total price. Again, because I gave it a good name, I can kind of like just look at that. Okay, and then I'll just do a cout. Come again. No, good. Not necessary, but never hurts to be polite. Okay. I'm going to leave a tip of $1 this time. Okay, burger platter. Got that. I could do another tab to make that line up. So let me make that change. Yeah, that'll line up nicely. Okay, hopefully this is making sense, at least a little bit. All I'm doing is just the same old input, processing, output. I'm just doing word problems, I admit that. But you know, we're trying to add a little more each time. And I figure here I'll do 250 this time. Okay, so yeah, I want to line these up. We'll make that fixed, and the price is 8.9692. That's not great, but the math looks right. So let me check this in. I'll say prints total, and I'm happy about that. Great. Now the last thing I want to do. We're good. Okay, cool. You guys are getting this. You're great. Again, you know, if we miss anything, we'll go over it another time later. It's just about getting practice in, getting reps in. Okay, so the other thing I want to do, present the output. So I know I want to do cout set precision to and fixed or to import manip. There we go. Cool. Well, note there, right? These commands don't work unless you add up top. Anybody tired of me jumping around yet? You won't avoid it. You're going to do a lot of scrolling. One thing I recommend you do with you write a lot of code, get used to like the home and end and page up, page down keys. The arrow, just the arrow keys maybe aren't enough. You can like bounce around really quick. It's way faster than a mouse. Manip. Okay. And what's that going to do? That's going to give us that nice little right, so present the output with 2 decimal places. Okay, great. So that's this, set position fixed. So I better run it before I check it in. Always run your code before you check it in. Okay, let's check it out. Now today I'm going to get 2 burger platters and I will tip them $5. I don't know, there we go, that's great. Looks pretty good. So my only issue is that you know, it doesn't line up because of those numbers. I'm going to live with that. Let's do it on just one order and see if it's perfect. I'll say I want 1 burger. It's to go, so I'm not going to have a tip. And that looks like $5.99.99. This rounded that correctly, and that shows the receipt. Okay. So what do we do? Really, the thing that we did, it's not so much you wrote a program that makes receipts. You did iterative programming. You know, you add a little bit to the program, like, you know, if you can get it to show the base price, that's a good start. There's no point in working on tax and tips if it's not even getting the main price right? What that lets you do is you try to knock out some of the easy bugs first as you code it. And then as you add more stuff, the stuff you're adding is probably going to complicate things, and those are more complicated bugs. In this case, we were mostly just kind of refreshing what we've done before, because other than me getting fancy with my tabs, which again, you could leave it out. You know, what would it look like if you don't have any tabs? It's just not going to look like a receipt. This stuff would all be lined up on the, you know, it would just be next to the words. I wanted that nice little, you know, dollar signs all in a row. So that's what we got. Okay, I'm going to check that in, and I'm going to say finished M2 T2. And what I'll do, I'm probably going to cut the stream and then start it up for the next class, since looks like I need to get some like advising done. So this is the machine I have here at the house to do all my schoolwork. So we'll probably call it here. Okay, good. Okay, so hopefully that made some sense. All right, you know, we're cool. Okay. Really appreciate y'all coming to hang out and watch the stream. I hope it was somewhat useful. I'm going to go back into here and just refresh this. Actually, you know, I'm going to go back from the beginning. I'm just going to go right to the top of my repo. I'm going to look this guy up. There it is, finished M2T2. Again, remember, if you have good comments, like you just know what's done. I like my last check-in to be finished, so I know that's ready to go. That's my whole program. I'm pretty happy with it. So I go up here, I copy that. I go to, for this first module, I think I have a separate submission link. So you're just going to go, let me fix this. I would rather it be just I'm glad I caught that. We'll just do website URL. Okay, so I think we're good. Yep, good. So when you see this page, if I view it as student, what's going to look like? It's going to look like this. I'm going to go here. Test student's going to submit my work. I'm going to hit that, get my confetti, and there's my link. And then again, what I can do is click that link, make sure it works, right? If it says something about logging in, it's the wrong link. So we have got it. Let me leave student view. And I hope that helped. I have been married. I'm not interested in getting married again. It was a long time ago. Does that help? That's that. There you go. I will answer. I guess I will answer questions. I will not type that, but yeah, I am not married. That's correct. Not anymore. All right, cool. So on that happy note, let's end the chat. No, I'm just messing around. Hopefully this was useful to you guys. I really appreciate it. I will, when I have the next stream, like I said, I think I'm going to try to do something for the AI folks. And then at noon, I have my capstone class. So for C++, if you have any more questions, just shoot me an email, or we'll probably meet in person on Wednesday. Thank you for your cooperation. And let's see if I can sign this out right.